Are you struggling for consistency in your sim racing? Does your iRating look like a roller coaster? If so, we have good news for you. The way to get more consistent is to first understand what you're doing differently than the professionals. And VRS is the answer. With our competitive subscription, you will have the telemetry, setups, tutorials, and everything else you need to fully analyze your driving. Our data packs and the ability to compare your driving with the best in the world will show you exactly where to adjust your inputs, change your driving line, and shave seconds off of your lap times. And our powerful and precise Direct Force Pro wheelbase and precision pedals are being used by some of the world's best drivers. All these champions agree that VRS hardware is not just the best on the market, it's also priced well below the competition. So if you're looking to upgrade to direct drive and the best pedals in sim racing, VRS is your answer. If you want to get better, get faster, and make it happen sooner rather than later, you owe it to yourself to find out why so many people are switching to VRS. You'll be so glad that you did. Visit www.virtualracingschool.com and learn why the best use VRS.
Greetings, race fans, and welcome to another season of Apex Racing TV's presentation of the Radical Esports Cup. J.R. Gregory here with you on the call. A huge welcome to my new partner, Aaron Smith, and a huge congratulations to our producer, Joshua Wilkie, on his 2-week anniversary. Just got hitched a couple of weeks ago, and Josh, congratulations to you, your bride, and everybody's family. I hope things are starting off smooth, and I'm quite sure that they are. But in any event, let's get down to business. The star of today's show, the fantastic Radical SR10. This baby has 450 horsepower and is 1,000 pounds lighter than a Miata Cup car. No traction control, no anti-lock brakes. So this is one of the purest sports car experiences on iRacing, and with all that power and no electronic nannies, these Radicals are a handful. But mastery of the SR10 will make you better at every car that you drive. And folks, we are showing the top split of the public server here, 2100 GMT, as we do every Friday. So this is not a private event. This is not a league event. So if you would like to give these Radicals a whirl, go ahead, show up, sign up, and if you make the top split, you will appear here with us on Apex Racing TV. And this week's special this season's 13-week schedule includes Alton Park, the way the race gods intended, with no chicanes, Spa, Zandvoort, Nordschleife, Navarra, Portimao, Donington, Watkins Glen, VIR, Road America, Sebring, and Interlagos. So a fantastic schedule, a fantastic car, and a really lovely group of drivers. Very talented folks here in the Radical community. So if this sounds like fun, now is the time to jump in. And as I said, we are starting 2024 Season 4, Round 1 at Brands Hatch, and with names like Minter Straight, Westfield, Sheen Curve, Sterling's, Clark Curve, Brabham Straight, Graham Hill, and Druids, you know that you are in the UK. And today we are approaching the 100-year anniversary of racing here in the British countryside, which began with motorcycles racing on a dirt track carved into the hilly landscape. And since then, as the track has developed, it has played host to F1, F2, F3, F5000 Champ car. Yeah, that is American open wheelers shipped over here to race on this beautiful circuit. World Touring Cars, Superbikes, and many others. Currently host a British Touring Car Championship, the Porsche Carrera Cup, the British GT Championship, and a raft of amateur track days, just to name a few. And today's configuration, 2.5 miles, 4 clicks, 9 corners. The current track record is a 112.276, set back in 2009 by an A1 Grand Prix car. And Aaron, we are already seeing these cars leak into the 118s. I was on track with Sorensen a couple of times this week, and he was reeling off 118s like they were nothing. And you see James Berry has thrown down a 118.8. So that just shows you how fast these radicals are and how well suited to Brands Hatch. So what are you expecting out of these cars and drivers today?
Well, luckily we did the Brands Hatch Radical European and America series not too long ago, so I have already had a bit of a demo reel when we're coming up to today's race. And, well, James Barry, of course, did very, very well in his home race last time out, so didn't quite manage to get the win, but definitely 2 second places for him as he now leads the championship in that series. Brings him good spirits into today's race as he's currently on provisional pole. And Sorensen had a pretty good race as well. Larson had a good race as well. A lot of these drivers had some good races over the weekend. And, well, they definitely have more experience than they usually would going into this week. And, well, I'm expecting some good, clean racing. Brands Hatch, it's kind of a shock that it's hosted things like Formula One, considering that if they hosted Formula One nowadays, it would probably be a sub 1 minute lap time, probably in the 50s, maybe even the 40s, depending on how quick they'd push the cars. But yeah, I think this is kind of the limit for this track. These radicals, like you said, are super, super quick. And I was going to say the radicals home race would kind of be Brands Hatch. I think Silverstone is closer to the Radical HQ, but either way, I can imagine this car was tested and developed at Brands Hatch at the very least, so should definitely suit here very, very well.
Yeah, absolutely. Tons of mechanical grip, these medium to high speed sweeping corners, kind of in the sweet spot where these radicals start generating some downforce. And, Aaron, the track looks pretty straightforward on paper, but there are a lot of nuances to it. It is not that easy to master. You've got some off-camber tricky stuff. You've got some apexes that over the top of these ridges and around bends where you can't really see. You got to commit before turn in. So a very tricky track and not a lot of passing opportunities. So we'll see what these drivers can do. And there is your starting grid. James Berry, he's reeled off a couple of season championships, either 2 or 3 in a row here. So he's going to start his defensive 2024 season 4 from the pole here at Brands Hatch. He'll be next to Lasse Sorensen there in P2 in the next row. Kjetil Larsen next to Denis Kyriakopoulos. Behind them, Bjorklund and Sanchez. Samir Kadura will line up next to Heinz Braun in row 4. Paki Caruso and Myron Ianni in 9 and 10. Jorge Gonzaga in 11 next to Weaver in 12. And Dylan Freckleton will be back there in the lucky 13. And you know it's got to be lucky for Dylan back there. It is Friday the 13th. We are starting a 13-week season here. So I'm going to be looking for him to make something happen out of that back row. And the grid is almost complete. The clock is winding down here. iRacing will force a start in about 1 minute unless we get our missing drivers. Right now it's Kyriakopoulos, Sanchez, and Freckleton holding up the show. But as soon as those cars get on the grid, we'll see the lights on. And interesting change, Aaron, for this season. I used to talk about the ice-cold tires on these standing starts, and iRacing, the latest patch, has employed some tire warming as if a warm-up lap had been done. So we are not going to be coming off of ice-cold tires, and I'm going to be interested to see how that changes the start. The patch notes say that tires and brakes are both going to be preheated, so maybe some of the drama getting these radicals off the line will be reduced. And now our grid is full. That is Barry there. He'll have the inside line into turn 1. The lights are ticking down, and 2024 season 4 is underway. We are green. Barry gets off pretty well here. Right now it's Barry from Larson from Kyriakopoulos. I see a couple people dropping. Sorensen getting a horrible start. Looks like he got swamped And speaking of swamp, there is some cars in the kitty litter already. That is Sanchez off, and some side-by-side action here early. And my goodness, maybe some nerves, Aaron, from race 1.
Yeah, potentially. As I didn't see who he made contact with, but that was definitely contact with Sanchez, who, like you said, ended up in the gravel into turn 1. It was an awful start for Sorensen. He immediately lost the front row spots to Larson and Kirikopolis. So he's not lost too many positions, but obviously he was hoping to challenge for Barry into the lead, as that is Samir going very, very close to Gonzaga. Not really a move into this corner. You see very often bit of contact there. Gonzaga just about manages to keep it on the track, but has lost now a few positions to Iani and now to Kedora and Braun as well. That's not a good few corners from Gonzaga, but it was a very opportunistic move from Samir. And, well, as controversial as that might be into that corner, he got it done cleanly, just about. And Gonzaga kept all 4 wheels on the track and lost a few places. He's going to be kicking himself. But back up at the front, it's James Barry with a 7/10 lead. That's an incredible first lap from the Brit. And, well, he did amazingly over the weekend at this track. He managed to get that 2nd place, but he's definitely hoping for a win now, as Braun is third eyeing this Iani and Samir battle, and now he gets the jump on both of them, and that's huge contact. Oh my lord, they went head first into the barrier there, and that is Iani, and that was Kedora who he made contact with, and well, Iani's going to be completely gone. That was heavy contact.
Yeah, we'll be calling the virtual medic for Iani. He has stuffed that Radical hard after some contact. My God, and then we have another off here. Kedura has also gone into the Armco on the left side of the track here, sweeping down the hill. And my goodness, Aaron, I didn't even have a chance to congratulate Gonzaga. Gonzaga moved up 5 positions off the start, had an excellent start, but as you pointed out, we don't see a lot of passing in the corners on this track, but somehow after picking up 5 positions, Gonzaga lost 3 of those right back on the first lap as he kind of got swamped by Kedura and others. So right now we got Barry from Larson, from Kyriakopoulos, from Sorensen, from Bjorklund up front. Gonzaga still looking okay with the +4, and here is a replay of some of the kerfuffleage up front with Sanchez, and Sanchez looks like he might have just got a little curb there, leading to that spin. Aaron, what do you think?
It looked like he just got caught in between himself and Sorensen. You can see that Sorensen losing a few places, and they both kind of didn't know where each other were, but I think Sorensen might have turned in just a tad bit too early there, and yeah, Sanchez was kind of left to grind on the curb. But let's see what's happened to Iani. We saw this one in the background with, just keep an eye on Sean, the car behind, as he just swoops past these two. Great overtake from him, and then, yeah, it was just very awkward contact with Iani and Kedira there, and it just didn't end well at all for either driver, as Kedora actually also later on that lap, we saw a few corners later, got net-coded into the wall on a straight, which was a very strange thing to see, and they're both out of the race now. And probably would say Kedora could have left him a little bit more room. But so yeah, here's the amazing start that you were talking about.
Yeah, here's Gonzaga getting a good jump off the line, and he is not going to be shy at all here. And of course, he's aided by that issue between Sorensen and Sanchez, as we see Sanchez spinning off into the kitty litter. Gonzaga with some great avoidance there gets an immediate 5-position jump, and yeah, some unfortunate kind of netcode situations there where iRacing breaking the laws of the physical universe right before our eyes, which is always unfortunate to happen. But I'm usually try not to jump on the netcode complaining bandwagon, because I'm old enough to remember using a 1.4 dial-up modem to try to play Doom online. So to me, what we have here in iRacing, these cars from all over the world racing each other, is nothing short of a miracle in that context. But as the race continues, taking a look at Barry, Larson, Kyriakopoulos, and Sorensen up front, looks like they've got about a 2-second gap covering all 4 of them as they're starting to pull away. Bjorklund trying to hang on to the back of that train, and behind Bjorklund a massive 3-second gap only 4 laps in. So those incidents that we saw early have broken up the field here somewhat, and I'm thinking, Aaron, we might even get into some lap traffic on this one, which is pretty unusual. This is a 4.2K split that we're riding along with here today.
Yeah, it just goes to show how many incidents we've had in these opening few laps. Already, you say about 4-ish cars have had their own separate incidents. For some reason, Freckleton just did not take to the start, and he's only just come back out. So he's going to be a couple laps down at least. As Weaver now comes into the pits, I wonder if that's potentially damage that he's got there. So that's another driver having issues as well. Iani coming back into the pits as well. So it's not been a good race for some of these drivers. Like you said, a 4.9K split, which is just mental. Considering that even some of the biggest series in iRacing, like IMSA, they usually are happy when they get above 4K. So it really goes to show the experience and level that we're dealing with here in the top split of these Radical Racing series. As Caruso, even one of the drivers that started towards the bottom, even he has one of the higher ratings in this series, as he's on the back of Sanchez. These both had pretty poor starts. I think both of them spun at turn 1, so this is just a battle for the drivers who can't keep their nose ahead into the first corner of a race, and it's for 8th position at the moment. Sanchez seemed to have good pacing qualifying at least, but of course just got caught up with that mess with Sorensen. Didn't quite catch what happened with Caruso, as he goes very wide at the last corner. That's not the line you want to be taking at all, but just about managed to keep it on the track.
Yeah, and taking another look here, and gosh, Aaron, my replay is glitching just a little bit. Can you see what's going on here?
Yeah, I can. It looked like he just got caught up with that mess for Sanchez as well. Kind of had nowhere to go. And we'll take a look at his onboard as well, and then got tagged by someone behind. You can see Sanchez having his spin in front, then has to check up, spins by himself, and then the driver behind could not avoid him, and he got spun round, unfortunately, and he's had to deal with the consequences. He's at the moment about 20 seconds off the lead, and we're only on lap 5, lap 6 now. So yeah, it really does go to show, one, the pace of James Barry, as he's just keeping that 9/10 gap to Larson behind. But just also goes to show how many drivers have really struggled in these opening few laps. And like you said, Brands Hatch looks simple on paper. It's probably one of the more famous British tracks to exist. It's probably Silverstone, then this. And yeah, it seems simple enough on paper, then you drive it and it's like, oh dear, it's not simple in any way, shape or form. And yeah, every driver here knows the struggles of this track, every single corner, especially just stuff like turn 1. You've got to take it in a unique way. And hello, Sorensen getting a run on Kyriakopoulos, but just could not get the run quite there. This is probably one of the better overtaking opportunities into Droids, as like we were talking about earlier, it's not an easy track to overtake this.
Yeah, and if you're new to Brands Hatch, you saw a couple of cars there, 4 wheels outside the white lines, and that is one of the tricks of learning this track, is learning the track surface your first time out. If you don't, that's a snort of wisdom there. Your first time out, if you're just learning the track and keeping it between the lines, you're going to leave a second or 2 seconds on the track if you don't take advantage of all this runoff area, as you see Sorensen using there, and it's disguised with green paint. So gaining expertise at this, as is the case in a couple of these UK tracks that have that painted green stuff outside the lines. That takes time to even learn where the track surface is, to say nothing of the nuances of the off-camber corners and the hidden apexes that are over rises and around bends. So diabolically designed track here, actually, Brands Hatch. And as I said, I like to imagine it being laid down back in the day by guys on motorcycles making a trail through the dirt in the countryside here, and the amount of racing history that has happened here since then, truly staggering. It is really a monument to motorsports over in the UK.
Yeah, it really is. I think this was one of the earlier tracks to be built in the UK, and what used to be home to me, I used to live only about 30 minutes away from it, and genuinely you could just pop down and have a go. Of course, on the Indy layout, the much shorter, 5-cornered layout going past turn 4 all the way back to the main straight again. And well, we used to watch touring cars around here as well as a kid, and wow, the era of touring cars that people, just have wet dreams about. That sort of late 90s, early 2000s. Oh my God, those cars were absolutely amazing. It's touring cars is still good today. It always provides good racing, but I mean, the cars from that era, I mean, the Alfa Romeos, the Fords that your dad could go and buy in the showroom the next day, and that's kind of what it was all about. And we all definitely miss that era of touring car racing. But we've got Radicals here today, which also have their own little mystique, as Barry is really showing his own right now, 1.5 seconds ahead of Larson here on lap 9. And, well, this is probably just going to continue to extend for him, and he's really coming to his own, as Larson does have the fastest lap at the moment, but it's just that consistency from Barry which is just letting him romp away with it. And you did notice on the last lap or so, I think Larson was sticking with him. But I just think now, after using those tyres in that first few laps, Larson is just starting to struggle a little bit to keep up with Barry. And you can see they're about a tenth of a second between those two at the top, and then about another tenth back to Kiriakopoulos and Sorensen behind. And really, where does Sorensen go for the move here? He's pretty much as quick as Kiriakopoulos, if not quicker, but there's just not really anywhere to go for a move.
Yeah, it's really tough, and this is one of those tracks where you try to stay nose to tail and get in the head of the driver ahead and force an error, because you don't have the slipstream going to give you much help here. I guess theoretically you could get a little toe right here, but then how are you going to late brake off camber downhill, kind of careening through turn 1 right here with the deadly curb on the inside? It really is a diabolical course. And yeah, interesting that you mentioned the history of those old Ford Cosworths here that tore up much of the racing world back in that time. But these Radicals, of course, powered by the Ford EcoBoost 4-cylinder turbo, get massive 450 turbocharged horsepower. So Ford's back. Ford's still making its mark across the racing world, even as it did in the old days, and showing off that new technology. But in the meantime, here we are riding along with Sorensen. One of the closer gaps in the field right now is Sorensen still looking ahead at Kiriakopoulos and still sitting 2 places down from his qualifying position. And as Aaron said, really not a lot he can do except polish Denis' bumper and hope for a mistake. And don't get me wrong, there are plenty of opportunities for errors around here to put down these fast laps these guys are putting down. You do have to take some risks. You do have to get on a little bit more curb than you might like. You do have to run it right up to the grass, and doing that lap after lap for as many laps as we're going to see here, 19, because the laps are so short. There's plenty of opportunity for mistakes. So Sorensen may just be biding his time, crossing his fingers to see what happens. And yeah, meanwhile up front, you're right about James Berry. He has dropped into that rhythm, the human metronome, putting down 118.8s every time around, and Larson matching his pace, but that is not going to close him down, much less pass him.
Yeah, that's kind of the thing around here, is even if you might be quicker than the car ahead, as soon as you get up to the back of them, your mind kind of sets into that mindset when you're following another car. It just completely changes, and the dirty air as well affecting these cars. It's just so difficult to get it done here. You kind of have to be around half a second to a second quicker than the driver ahead if you really want to go for a move. Or like you said, Gregory, just wait for a mistake. It's plentiful around here. We've already seen today. It's, these drivers have to follow basically one line through every corner. It's not one of those tracks where, you can kind of pick and choose and different driving styles. No, this track, there's really only one line. One quick line around this whole thing. And, well, speaking of, I think Barry might have had a little mistake somewhere, as he's lost half a second on that lap. And it was a good lap from Larson as well. But everyone else into the 19.0s. Well, Larson was 0.4 of a second quicker than Barry on that last lap, as Larson was nearly drifting it there through droids, but managed to keep all 4 wheels on the track still. But yeah, maybe it was just a quick lap by Larson and everyone else was taking it easy. I'm not quite sure. We'll see over these next few laps if he can match the pace of the race leader, but on this lap anyway, he's lost already about a tenth, so maybe it was just a very quick lap from Larson.
Yeah, and tire wear does play a role. Maybe not tire wear in terms of those percentages that you see in your iRacing data at the end of the race, but in terms of heat, real easy to overheat these tires, and it is possible that Larson just wants to keep Barry within visual range and turn up the wick towards the end, because these tires, these cars do have a little bit of tendency to understeer, and it's really easy to kind of rely on that understeer, lean into it, and it won't be long before your front tires are overheated. You lose braking, you lose turn in, and you see some of these cars kind of plow and start to go wide and lose time. So we'll keep an eye on that for you. And look at Sorensen and Kyriakopoulos. He's got that down to 2/10 now. And Aaron, I can't help but think we're going to see some kind of dive into the hairpin here on one of these laps. See Kyriakopoulos covering this time, but my goodness, Sorensen coming downhill here and all over the back of Kyriakopoulos now.
Yeah, it's kind of the thing we saw on the race on Sunday, is that even if you do get close, just defend the inside, and that's exactly what Denny is doing. He's defending the inside. And where does Sorensen go? Round turn 2, the outside line doesn't really work, but hello, that's a send, opportunistic for Sorensen, pushes Kyriakopoulos off the track even, and he makes his way up into 3rd place. Sorensen saw it, went for it, maybe it was a little bit on the edge of the rule book, but it will be interesting to see what Kyriakopoulos has to say about that. That would be great if we could get a replay. Thank you, Joshua. I did not expect this. I gotta be honest, I didn't think he was close enough, but he had me wrong. Denny tried to cover the inside, but there was no contact. He just ran wide, and well, that's how you get it done. You've just got to pick your moment, and that's what Sorensen just did.
Yeah, Sorensen tired of waiting, and definitely had a kind assist from Kyriakopoulos there. Really kind of overcooked that entry, washed out of the corner, as you see there, and Denis decided to hit the grass instead of getting wadded up with Sorensen, live to fight another day. And unfortunately for Denis, I'll tell you right now, Sorensen has pace on him. He's going to be able to put down those 118s, and he's going to be driving off. And now it is Bjorklund taking a look at Kyriakopoulos and thinking, I wonder if he's going to be that nice to Sorensen, if I can take an ill-advised dive like that and get away with it. So we'll keep an eye on that battle as it develops.
Yeah, we've got about 5 laps to go for that to happen, and Bjorklund has just slowly been improving in this car over the last few seasons, and definitely starting to claw his way up the field. And 5th place, you'd have to say, is a pretty good result for him. And well, if he can make that 4th, that'll be even better. You can see Kopoulos is just struggling so much. He just can't seem to get that grip back into those tyres like he was a few laps ago. Perhaps it looked like he kind of forward drifted through turn 5 when he ran wide, so that's probably just cooked the tyres a little bit, and well, it's making the car feel a little bit twitchy as we start to head towards the end of the race, as James Barry now really is putting the hammer down 0.3 of a second faster than Larson on that last lap. And look how close Bjorklund is now. I mean, a few corners ago that was about half a second, 0.6 of a second, and he is right there now. And Bjorklund really showing his hand, and this could really spice up over the last few laps, possibly going to the white flag. But the only thing now is Kyriakopoulos could be a little bit more desperate to keep this position and be a bit more wise going into turn 5.
Yeah, and Kyriakopoulos last time around was about 0.4 off of his fast lap, so you're right, Aaron. He may have overcooked those tires trying to hold off Sorensen, and we saw him do a couple of four-wheel drifts, so he may be letting those tires cool down and try to regain some grip, and that loss in pace has pushed him right back into Bjorklund, and you can see that gap there. Bjorklund all over him. That's got to be down to about 0.4 or less. Yeah, I'm showing about 0.32 currently. So will Bjorklund be inspired by Sorensen's wild move there into 5 and might decide to give that a go himself? But if he does, he's going to have to do it soon. We're about to beginning now, lap 16 of 19. So only 4 more times around, and these laps tip by pretty quickly. And there's Bjorklund. Oof. You see those front tires not cooperating. You see him washing out of turn 1 there. So same situation maybe that Kyriakopoulos found himself in with those tire temps rising, especially the fronts.
You can just see how much he is just abusing this car. He is pushing. He wants this 4th place, does Bjorklund. And, well, as a racing driver, you can definitely feel for him, but he might just be overdriving it a little bit. It's just starting to cost him those few tenths of a second, which he can't really afford to lose, especially this late in the race. I mean, you saw in turn 1, he just a little bit too wide, and that could have ended disastrously, as this is a battle that we haven't caught up in a while. This is Sanchez and Gonzaga, as Gonzaga had a great start, but during the race itself has kind of just fallen back a little bit. Hasn't really had the best pace in the world, and now Sanchez and Caruso as well have kind of joined in. So this is the battle for 7th between Gonzaga, Sanchez and Caruso, and Braun up ahead seems to be struggling a little bit as well. He's gone off track a few times on this lap, as wow, Sanchez is really on the back of Gonzaga. There might be some damage to Gonzaga's car, or maybe he really is struggling for temp, as this is a bit odd for him to be this far off the pace. This is a very opportunistic movement into turn 1. There's not really space, but he's going to go for the wide line, cuts back inside. Is he going to dive up the inside? Not really any space, and that's contact there. Very aggressive defense from the Portuguese driver, a bit naughty there, you'd say, as Caruso now is trying to look at this and think, I want a piece of this. And he gets involved as well and makes contact with Sanchez, and well, then that's pushed him right out of the battle. And well, it's now just between Gonzaga and Sanchez for that 7th place spot.
Yeah, and we've watched Sanchez enough to know that he is not going to say that 8th is good enough for him. We are going to see a move. Sanchez very aggressive when he's following someone this close. Sometimes it does end in tragedy for him, but I'm telling you right now that he's going to go for it at least once before this one is over. So we'll keep an eye on this one. Right now, the closest interval on the track, and as you can see, it's in that 0.3, 0.4 kind of sweet spot that we've seen some other drivers take advantage of. And meanwhile, here comes James Barry on a track day. My goodness, Aaron, he has stretched his lead now to 2.4 seconds, driven away from Larson. I'm going to say that Larson has given up. You just wanting to finish this one. He's got a large gap behind him. Barry has gotten away, so Larson's just going to be satisfied with that P2. So any kind of pressure on Barry is long history. So the real mystery right now is what kind of move is Sanchez going to put on Gonzaga, and will both of those cars survive the encounter with 2 laps remaining?
Well, there's only one way to find out, and we'll have to watch. We've got about a lap and a half of racing to go, and well, James Barry has, I think he said in the interview last week that he does have experience at Brands Hatch in real life. He's, I mean, it's fairly easy to just come here, do some track days as Gonzaga blips in and out of existence for a few seconds. That's just iRacing collection for you. As well, you have to be careful following another car. If that starts to happen, you start to shake, because it has happened a few times. I am speaking from experience, where the car just disappears in front of you. The next corner, you're in them, and then you both go flying. It's not an ideal situation to be in. As James Barry goes onto the white flag lap, looked like he went a bit wide into turn 1 there, and this looks like it's Sanchez's best chance to try and overtake Gonzaga for 7th place on the last lap. Round the outside is risky, but can't stick it round the outside there. Tries to get the cutback. It took too much speed through the first corner, and Gonzaga defending the inside through turn 1 and now turn 2. Sanchez just cannot find a way through, and that's kind of the story of today with most of these drivers. And I think he's going to go for it in turn 5. I can just feel it. He's going to get that slipstream do kind of similar to what Sorensen did on Kyriakopoulos. But like you said, Gregory, are they both going to survive the encounter? Well, let's find out as we head down this long straight all the way to Hawthorne's Bend in turn 5. I think he might just be a little bit too far back, but of course he's going to try it anyway. just getting closer and closer to Gonzaga. This is his chance up the inside, thinks better of it, and he's going to put Gonzaga offline, and he just gets too close to the Portuguese driver. They're nearly neck and neck as we head through turns 8 and now into 9. Bit of contact there. They both survive again. This is fantastic racing for 7th place between these two, and I think that will be it as James Barry takes his first victory of this iRacing season. And wow, that is a great victory for him. But here we go then. Is it going to be Sanchez overtaking Gonzaga? It is. Sanchez has managed to get past on the final lap in the final corner. And what a great battle between those two drivers. I mean, it's a bit sketchy from Sanchez, but it was brilliant nonetheless. And that was entertainment if I've ever seen it on the last lap of a race.
That was, and what on earth happened? I mean, it looked like Gonzaga had that final corner onto the front straight covered. I'm flabbergasted. He must have lost traction, got sideways, something there. And here's a replay of it. And gosh, maybe just being a little too aggressive. Oh, that's the previous lap. Okay. And yeah, we see Sanchez. Yeah, Josh is telling me he's going to show us that whole last lap in that battle between Sanchez and Gonzaga, and some great defense by Gonzaga covering the inside here. Very good defense throughout this lap. It really looked like he was going to hold Sanchez off. You could feel Sanchez's frustration as he bobs and weaves, shows his nose, tries to break Gonzaga's concentration, and you see him try to pull a couple of switchbacks here as Gonzaga covering the inside, giving up the optimal line, and you know that Sanchez is thinking that he's going to be able to pull an over-under, and here we go, storming down the field into turn 5, that slipstream going to work, but Sanchez takes a peek around the outside, but Gonzaga again showing some great defense. And here's where it gets spicy. I thought that they were going to be side by side up here at the bottom of the hill. They are side by side right here. Just, I mean, that is nuts. Oh my goodness, that is, I defy Verstappen and Hamilton to do that 10 times successfully. That was absolutely insane. And here we go, coming up to the last quarter, and we'll see what happened with Gonzaga. It looks like he has this covered by a mile, and maybe blinked out of existence and got some invisible contact there under the cover of the cloaking device. What the hell, iRacing? That was absolutely nuts. Well,
oh, I did
okay,
warn
Aaron.
them.
Yeah, okay, I'll take it. I'm calming myself. I am a little older now, and I don't want to keel over here in the broadcast. Aaron, what are your thoughts on that last lap? That was pretty nuts, huh?
Wow, that was what racing is about. I mean, an old school circuit like this, that's kind of the racing you're going to get, and it was absolutely brilliant between the pair of them. It doesn't matter what position it was for. They were racing like it was for the championship. It was great stuff, and especially considering the race start that Sanchez has had, to get that 7th place in the end is a pretty good feat, and he should be happy with that. Maybe a little bit, you know, considering it might have been netcode or whatever that happened on that last corner, but either way, they both provided some great entertainment, and wow, if we can get that every single week, well, I don't think I'll ever miss a Friday, ever. That was great.
Well, and just a shout out to our audience. That is, Aaron has put his finger on it. That is why you should never miss one of these races, because these guys from the top of the grid to the bottom, they are all racing like they're racing for it all, and it's week in and week out. This is the kind of action that we enjoy Friday 2100 GMT. So, wow, what a great start to the season. And Aaron, why don't you run through those finals for us?
Yep, can do. And well, unsurprisingly, after all that, is James Barry taking a victory at probably what he calls his home track, and 2.5 seconds from Larson, who we know is no slouch at all. He nearly got fastest lap in the end, but just could not match the pace to James Barry in the end. And then it's Sorensen, who had a bit of a poor start, but ended up on the podium anyway. Kirakopoulos also had a good race. Bjorklund as well put him under pressure briefly. Braun was a little bit under the radar. He finishes in 6th. Sanchez, of course, providing great entertainment. He finishes in 7th. Gonzaga, a bit of an unlucky race, maybe a bit off the pace today, in 8th place. Caruso in 9th. Weaver, Freckleton, Iani, and Samir all out of the race and a lap down, unfortunately. and hopefully they can pick themselves up for the next race. But either way, that was a very entertaining 19 laps here at Brands Hatch.
Yeah, an absolute barn burner. And taking a peek outside our booth here in the interview room, we got a few drivers. Looks like we got Denis, James Berry, and Lasse Sorensen out there. So we'll go ahead and bring in James Berry. James, last couple seasons champions. You are here defending the home turf on Brands Hatch. And from what it looked like from here, you just kind of got into a rhythm, turned into the human metronome, and this kind of turned into a track day for you as you slowly added a tenth to that gap on every lap until at the end, I think you had about 2.5 seconds behind. So how was that race from your perspective?
Yeah, it was easy enough. Had a good start of the race. Lasse was just telling me that he did an 18.9 on his first quali lap, which was really impressive, and he messed up his second lap. So it was fortunate that he got the wheel spin at the start, because I think he would have really pushed me all the way and made it really difficult. But fortunately, yeah, that happened, and then Kjetil was on good pace, and I think a back marker kind of got in between us at one point and caused him to drop off a bit, and then it was easy enough from there.
Yeah, all right. Well, yeah, that was a great race, James, and 13-week schedule this time, and we've been talking a little bit about that schedule and trying to get some people to come out and try these radicals. So looking ahead at this season schedule, is there any track that you're particularly excited about?
I think this one's one of my favourites, and next week at Alton as well. And then we've got some new ones like Zandvoort and Navarra and Portimao that we're going to be doing for the first time in this car. So looking forward to trying some new tracks, and yeah, hopefully wherever we go, hopefully we can have some good splits, some good, hopefully bigger field sizes for the broadcasts, hopefully as many people as we can have, and yeah, let's have some fun.
Yeah, absolutely. 4.9 split here this afternoon. So the effort that the Radical community has been putting in to attract high-quality drivers and put on a good show for us here Friday at 2100 GMT has paid off. So, and it certainly paid off today. I encourage you to watch everything that was happening behind you during your Brands Hatch track day. It was awesome. Absolutely. So as we wrap up here, James, is there anyone you would like to thank or give a shout-out to?
Just thanks to you guys for the broadcast every week. It brings us all together on these Fridays, so thanks, and look forward to the season ahead.
All right. Well, thank you, James. Folks, that was James Berry. And again, he is defending champion probably 2 or 3 in a row now. And you could see why. Nothing flashy, nothing crazy, but he can just drop into a rhythm and take a tenth out of you like an assassin on every lap. And as you could see, there really wasn't anything the people following could do. But Aaron, I'm going to bring in Lasse Sorensen, and you can get his perspective on this.
Yeah, that would be much appreciated. Welcome to the booth, Sorensen. That was a pretty good race from your perspective, actually. A bit difficult off the start, lost a few places, but that bold overtake on Kirakopoulos, talk us through that and just how it felt following another car for that long.
Oh, I know I had more pace than Denis. I'm the second or third fastest average lap time this week of all drivers, but it's so difficult to pass at this track, and Dennis have decent pace as well. So I was just staying behind and hoped that I had the better exit before the back straight. And at that lap I had that, so I just needed to take the shot. So we are happy about us. It was pretty green racing, except that I understood a little bit, so I did push him wide. So if we didn't have Kim straight behind us, I would let him pass again. But if I would go off throttle and let him pass, we would be 3 persons in the fight, so I just decided to go on.
Yeah, that's fair enough, honestly, but from our perspective anyway, it just kind of looked like Kopoulos kind of just overcooked it going into that corner, but it was fantastic racing from you two either way. And on to the rest of the season then. We've obviously had the first race today, a 13-week season for this Radical series. Is there any particular track that you're looking forward to?
Yeah, I think Nürburgring is the last one this season as well, so that's always the best one. And otherwise, Spa would be nice, the new one. I think it's a draft party, of course, but it's a smooth, nice track now, so I think it's going to be decent racing there.
Yeah, 100% agree. The new Spa should be a lot of fun. And well, going into Alton Park next week with no chicanes as well, is that a track you're particularly fond of, or one that you think might be a bit of a struggle?
No, I really like Alton Park, but next week I'm in Malaga at work, so next week I can't participate. So sad about that.
That's fair enough. Well, you put on a great show today anyway, and got a cheeky little podium as well to give yourself a week break and come back.
Yeah.
I believe I got moved. Whoopsie daisy. But yeah, sorry about that. I don't know what happened there. But yeah, either way, thank you for coming and joining us, Sorensen. And anyone you want to give a shout out to before you let you go?
Yeah, you guys that put up the awesome Radical Racing show on Fridays on YouTube. We need more drivers in this class, so it's nice to promote it. And of course, the teammates as well, and all the fellow drivers in the series.
Yeah, we'd love to see some more drivers in this series. Well, thank you for coming over and chat with us, Sorensen, and good luck when you come back for Spa in about 2 weeks' time.
Yeah, thank you so much. Bye-bye.
All right, and that was Lasse Sorensen coming in P3 today, and finally the victim of that wild dive into Hawthorne's, Tani Kyriakopoulos. Tani, what a race you put on today. I don't know if you had a chance to talk to Lasse Sorensen, but he just shared with us that after washing out there of turn 5 and forcing you off track, he would have given that position back to you had not Bjorklund been right behind. But walk us through what it was like from your seat when you saw him sliding towards you in that off-camber entry to turn 5.
I thought I was done. I thought it was finished. I saw this big red mark on the right of the screen. I was like, oh my god, now I'm out, because you know in practice how many times we go out in these turns, quick turns, and we always end up in the barrier. There's no other chance to be saved. But somehow I kept it on the grass. I went back on track, and thankfully no crash, and Kim didn't overtake me either.
Yeah, well, that was a great effort, and Lasse commented on his pace, but I'm looking at the timing tower right now. It looked like your fast lap today was only 4 100ths off of him, so very similar pace. And gosh, we're watching that replay now, and my goodness, that was quite a dive. He's on the brakes, washing out of turn 5, and you just missed him by a foot. So great avoidance on that one, and he managed to hold off Bjorklund. And as the race was winding down, Sorensen's kind of driving away, and you got Bjorklund behind you. Did you think Bjorklund was going to take a shot at you in those last handful of laps?
Well, I thought I knew that Lasse was a bit faster than me, to be honest. But looking at the relatives with Kim, I was thinking that I could hold him off. Except like maybe a mistake, maybe he wanted to just put pressure. But I saw that he was pushing a bit too much, and sometimes he was losing a little bit of time, like a couple of turns here and there, and it helped me quite a lot in the final 2 or 3 laps.
Well, that was a great race between the two of you. And again, I'm looking at my timing tower here. The three of you, Sorensen, yourself, and Bjorklund, your fast lap separated by 7 100ths of a second. So, man, what a fantastic show you guys put on today, and really a joy to watch, as always. But as we wrap up here, Tani, is there anyone you would like to thank or give a shout out to?
I just want to mention that this was because I looked at the number of points I got, and it's my best result ever. I got 195 points, so I'm quite happy with myself.
Yeah, well, congratulations on that, and it's certainly well earned. This is a 4.9 strength of field that you went to war on today, and we've watched you over the years slowly improving and working your way up toward the pointy end of the field. So very well done. Congratulations on that.
Thank you very much.
All right, and that was Tani Kyriakopoulos, someone whose name I have said wrong now, probably approaching 1,000 times over the last couple of years. But my goodness, folks, what a fantastic race. And don't forget, we are not just about radicals here on Apex Racing TV. We bring together some of the best cars, best esports drivers and best tracks in the business, and we have got action literally every night of the week. So don't forget to hit that subscribe button and hit the notification button there so that you don't miss any of the action. But we'll keep rolling on Monday, round 2 of the Rickmatech Mini Mite Sports Car Challenge at Okayama. Tuesday we'll bring round 4 of the Operation E Motorsport iRacing League over at Watkins Glen, and on Thursday the JW Invitational Sports Car Challenge at Virginia International Raceway. Always a fantastic place to watch these guys show their wares. But my goodness, Aaron, what a fantastic start to what I hope is going to be a great season, and excited to have you here. So welcome again. And what are your thoughts here now that we have 1 week in the books?
Well, it's just going to be usual radical greatness, isn't it? We always know it's going to be amazing racing, but confusing times at moments. It's best to say that, but you just know you're always going to leave with a smile on your face whenever you watch one of these races, no matter if it's the European or America series or just a simple fun race on every Friday. It's just always great fun to watch these cars. And I think Alton Park next week is going to be probably similar to this. It's going to be a bit tricky to overtake, but we're going to have just more really ballsy moves into every single corner with no chicanes. Honestly, the slipstream effect could be something to take into account. So really looking forward to that. And then the third week, Spa, the new Spa. That's going to be just insane, amazing, and I cannot wait for that race.
Yeah, absolutely. And the mighty slipstream of these radicals is going to be on display the next couple of weeks. And Alton Park, they put in a couple of chicanes over the years for safety, but we don't need that here. Get rid of those chicanes, and these cars will be deep into 6th gear and fighting each other on that entry to Knickerbrook, I think, at the end of that long back straightaway. So we'll be back here in the British Isles for more fantastic racing action here with the Radical Esports Cup. But that is going to wrap it up for week 1. What a week 1. Do not miss week 2 or any of the other 13 weeks on tap here on Apex Racing TV. I am J.R. Gregory for Aaron Smith, and congratulations again to Joshua Wilkie on his wedding, and we will see you bright and early or bright and late, depending on where you are, 2100 GMT next Friday, Alton Park. So thank you so much for joining us. Have a fantastic Friday and an even better weekend.
Are you struggling for consistency in your sim racing? Does your iRating look like a roller coaster? If so, we have good news for you. The way to get more consistent is to first understand what you're doing differently than the professionals. And VRS is the answer. With our competitive subscription, you will have the telemetry, setups, tutorials, and everything else you need to fully analyze your driving. Our data packs and the ability to compare your driving with the best in the world will show you exactly where to adjust your inputs, change your driving line, and shave seconds off of your lap times. And our powerful and precise Direct Force Pro wheelbase and precision pedals are being used by some of the world's best drivers. All these champions agree that VRS hardware is not just the best on the market, it's also priced well below the competition. So if you're looking to upgrade to direct drive and the best pedals in sim racing, VRS is your answer. If you want to get better, get faster, and make it happen sooner rather than later, you owe it to yourself to find out why so many people are switching to VRS. You'll be so glad that you did. Visit www.virtualracingschool.com and learn why the best use VRS.